I am so excited to be interviewing someone who is my pod fam. We heard from her husband a couple weeks ago, and I told you guys she is the cherry on top. And you will see after this interview. Welcome, 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 Katie Krimitsos to the show. How are you today?
Sandy, I'm ridiculously excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on because you are an amazing woman, I must tell you.
Oh,
And I
thanks.
feel like you you have created a space for women like me to feel seen, to feel heard, to just it's like you have this beautiful space where I can come into by listening to you, and I'm just taken to somewhere where I'm calm, where I'm safe, where I can really just be me. So thank you,
Mm.
thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I appreciate that feedback so much. That's like the beating heart of why I do what I do. So I'm so happy that that's true for you. That makes me so happy.
It definitely is. Before I start asking you all my questions, I want you to share a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah. So if you take a snapshot of my life right now, I'm a 45-year-old woman who has been an entrepreneur about 15 years now. And I'm one of six kids. I'm one of the middle children. I don't even get the middle child syndrome by myself. So I am very much an achiever. I like achieving things. I like doing things. I like living big. I like checking things off the list. And at a very early age, I feel like I've always known that I was meant to do big things in this world, whatever big meant to me, right? Um, and so I feel like my whole life and definitely my whole adult life, I've always strived for like, what more am I here to do? What more am I here to do? I have two daughters. I have a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. I am married to the great Chris Krimitsos, who you guys heard from a few episodes ago. He also is an entrepreneur. And so together we just have this really cool family. We seem to do life very differently than what's kind of the norm. We don't have 9 to 5 jobs. We
Yeah.
actually, make a living doing things that we love doing. And we try to make sure that we're raising our girls to see that and to experience that. I've been a podcaster since 2008, but for the past 6 years, since 2018,
Mhm.
um, I have been doing the Women's Meditation Network. So it started with one show called Meditation for Women. And 6 years later, we have 20 shows that are a part of our network, which is a lot. And these are all 15 of those shows are all dedicated to women getting the meditation tools that they need to help them really see themselves
Yeah.
and connect with themselves, go to sleep, get the physical benefits of meditation, the psychic spiritual benefits of meditation, which are, really getting to know oneself and therefore then listening to your intuition, creating your life by design. And then 5 of those shows, our most recent shows, are actually dedicated to kids because serving women and many of them mothers, there is a need for us to teach our kids meditation, to provide mindfulness opportunities for our kids, to help our kids go to sleep. So I have meditation for kids, sleep meditation for kids, and a whole other slew of meditation podcasts just for kids as well.
I love that. And I like the fact that when you are able to find your purpose and figure out what it is that you desire to do, you can truly walk in that and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the longer I have been here on the planet, I think the more I realize that to me, that feels like the ultimate answer that we're all looking for. Like any of our pain and our frustrations with our lives not being what we want it to be, I really believe the answer to all of that is
Yeah.
knowing oneself and taking the time, which is actually a little tricky these days, but
Yes.
consciously taking the time to get to know ourselves so that we can start to learn what our voice actually sounds like, what that inner voice, that intuition actually sounds like, versus the noise that's all out here. That noise, and sometimes actually that noise is in our head too. So there's a lot of noise in the world right now, and there can be a lot of noise in our heads as well. So I feel like meditation journaling, being
Yeah.
in nature, we were speaking
Yes.
about before we pressed record.
Yes.
These really deep, soulful conversations with trusted friends, these are all really great tools to help us to get to know ourselves so
Mhm.
we can hear the voice, we can hear our intuition, and then we can courageously actually take action on
Yeah.
what we're hearing her say,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, totally. Thank you for that because I was just listening to one of this week's episodes where you talk about what pretty much, in my opinion, strategies you use to maintain your mental health with this being Mental Health Month. And you shared about journaling and also running. Can
Yeah.
you share a little bit with me about how you do that and what that looks like for you now?
Yeah, great question. I feel like this term of mental health is relatively new to us. Like I'm 45,
Yeah,
like we didn't have this term when I was growing up, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And I feel like there's so much beauty in the fact that we now know how to label this so that we can actually take actions to do things that benefit our mental health. So for me, and all of us do this differently, and so that's really the key, is like to find things that make your mind feel good, find things that allow you to be kind to your mind, that make you feel like you can manage your emotions, you can manage your thoughts, you can feel like you're sort of vibing high, if you will.
yes.
For me lately, I've journaling has always been one. Ever
Yeah,
since I can remember writing, I've always been journaling in some way.
yeah,
Over the years, I've really taught myself how to kind of intentionally journal, meaning I'm not just writing about my day. It's not a Dear Diary kind of a book, but it's really like, what do I really want right now? What do I really need? What am I really struggling with? What feels heavy today? What do I really want to have happen? I do a lot of journaling into the future, I call it, or writing
mm,
into the future, where I'll say like, it's December 31st, 2024. I'm so happy and grateful that. And I'll write
yes,
as if all these things have already happened to me. And it's a great
yeah,
way of manifesting. I know you had PJ
yes,
Denuzio on the other a couple episodes ago. He talked about manifesting, and that's been a really good tool for me. So I love journaling. It allows me to see what's inside my head and to
yeah,
actually get it out on paper. And the
yeah,
magic of that is being able to dismiss or process through the
yeah,
stuff that doesn't need to be there. It's not wrong that it's there, but it's not helpful for me to hold on to it. So it allows me a process to sort of like extract it, get rid of it, dissolve it, and then keep the good stuff.
yes,
So journaling has been very powerful, and then lately running has been really powerful. So the backdrop of this is that I've been an athlete my whole life,
yeah,
and I was always like a team sport player. And running was obviously always incorporated into any sport. In my 20s, I was big time triathlete, but I
yeah,
can't say I've ever loved running. I've had seasons of sort of like I love running, but it about a month ago, I was going through like a super high intense like anxiety season,
mhm,
a super high intense anxiety season, and I was just like, I need, that anxious energy, like you just can feel it buzzing from you. And so I was
yes,
like, I need to go on a run. That was my first thought. And I ran for an hour, and I was like, whoa,
mhm,
like for me that's a long way.
yeah,
So I have craved that every day since, and I have found some way. I've skipped a couple days here and there, but like for the most part, it's like, when am I going to run today? I need that high. I
yes,
need that high because what inevitably happens, there's actually a little bit of a process to it. As I start moving, I sort of start identifying what doesn't feel good. Same
mhm,
process as journaling, actually. I
yeah,
identify what doesn't feel good within me or what doesn't isn't sitting well. And then I'm able to sort of like shed that, like visually sort of shed that stuff. And then I kind of get into these visualizations of what do I really want? What does it feel like to have what I want? To be in the moment of receiving that phone call from the Today Show who's telling me like, "Hey, we want you to come up next week." Like what does that feel like?
yeah,
Um and when I can get into then I'm raising my vibration. So like that's what they call the runner's high, right? Like you're just in such high vibe. So for me, that has been incredible medicine for my mental health. Both of those things this recently.
I love that. This intentional journaling, it is the next level, right? Than just putting out there, just writing,
Yeah.
really thinking about what you are feeling, what's going on, just allowing the paper to just get all of it. It's like just letting it out. I love that. And I've been working on that because I realize getting the prompts and taking the time to really think about checking in with me. And I notice as I get older, it's really important to spend that time with me. And I find that sometimes late at night, it's like just everyone's asleep and it's like, okay, now it's our time, girl.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, but
Yes.
then also I like the idea of that movement. And you said something in your session about the mind overwhelm.
Yes.
And I don't think sometimes we aren't able to identify that that's what we're dealing with. We just know a lot of things are coming at us, right?
Yeah.
And so we just feel this anxious energy and we really don't necessarily know what to do with it. And I remember I was at a conference and I heard a gentleman say that you need yoga. You need to do something that will allow your body to move in a way that you can just release it. And
Yes.
so a couple years ago, we were in Jamaica for a long period of time. And so I started running the hills. It was so beautiful. And I was in a spot where I couldn't really get out like I would want to like go do different things, but I could just walk the hills and just really enjoy the beauty. I started walking and then I started running up the hills and running down the hills. I get that feeling when you talked about that clear brain and then you felt recharged. It's like somehow you had worked it out by just being outside, being in nature, getting that fresh air, moving
Yes.
your body. It truly allows you to actually feel energized, like, I can go deal with this now. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal anymore.
Movement is so huge. They say when you feel, you know, if you have ever experienced depression or anything close to that,
Yeah. Yeah.
the last thing you want to do is move. The last thing you want to do is move. You want to lay in bed. You want to just like feel the feelings, right? But the best thing you could do is move
Yeah.
because your body, has things in it that need to get moving, that need to get charged. They change your brain chemistry. They legit change your brain chemistry. So, getting out, and especially we're talking about being in nature, like it's a really big deal. It's a very big distinction, like being out open air. um if you need to run or walk on a treadmill, go for it. But if
Mhm.
you can get outside no matter where it is, because nature reminds us
Yeah.
that we're a part of her. And what
Ooh.
it always says for me, we were talking about you seeing the turtles not so long ago, like just going on a walk and seeing these beautiful turtles, look at the sky. Nature has a way of reminding us that we are her, that we're
Oof.
part of her. And the beauty in that is actually this two different sides of the same coin. One, this is what it does for me. It
Mhm.
reminds me how special I am
Ugh.
and how unique I am and how there's no one else like me. So it just fills me with this sense of confidence and rootedness, right?
Ooh.
Like a tree. Simultaneously, it reminds me how teeny tiny I am in the larger scope of everything. And actually, all of this is, kind of meaningless. And that thing that I thought was such a big deal, actually, in the big scope of things, is okay. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Nature continues on. And so it has a beautiful way of humbling me and of really diminishing the heaviness that I walked out into it with.
That's beautiful. I would encourage anyone, get out. It's a new season. There's so much to enjoy by getting outside. I love that you shared that because when we think about mental health and the things that we can do to help ourselves, this is a free gift, right? Like it doesn't cost you anything to just get those sneakers on and you don't have to run, right? You just
Mm-mm.
walk,
Just
just take
move.
some time and jump rope, you know?
Whatever your body feels like doing. And this is why I go back to always asking those questions of like, what do I need right now? There are plenty of times when I show up,
Mhm.
I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go on a run, and I will show up and I legit am like, I need a walk today. Like I don't, and my little athletic, like, oh, you gotta get it in, check it off the list. Like I can at least recognize that voice, but I'm like, what does my soul actually need? My soul needs to slow down today. My
Mm,
soul needs to move, but she needs to slow down because I
yeah,
want to recognize everything that's here. And
Yes.
there's value in the slowness, right? There's value in the yoga, in the slow movement of body, but it's movement, whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. So talk to me about the Katie retreats.
Uh, I love Katie retreats. Okay. This is actually good in through the lens of mental health as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I started doing Katie retreats, and for lack of a better term, I'll call them solo retreats, right? These are
Mhm.
just times to get away by myself.
Yeah.
I was doing solo retreats in my 20s before boyfriends, husbands, kids.
Yeah.
So this is a muscle that I've been flexing for a long time. For me, what it is an opportunity to get myself out of the normal movement
Yeah.
of my life. Um, the reason why that's important is because, like, I might say, "Oh, I'm going to take a day off of work for 2 days," or "I'm going to spend this weekend, prior to kids and husband, I'm going to spend this weekend just home
Yeah.
alone, not doing anything." But I'm
Mhm.
still in my space, and therefore I'm kind of like easily dip into my normal kind of routines. And so the one of the benefits of a solo retreat is just really extracting you from the normalcy of
Mhm.
your life so that you have kind of a giant pattern
Yeah.
interrupt to be able to simultaneously recognize that life
Yeah.
can be different and appreciate what your life
I
actually is
like
right
that.
now. Obviously, as the years have progressed and I now have a husband,
Mhm.
2 kids, 5 birds, I've got a lot of things. I'm the CEO of my household. Like, there are a lot of things that are on my shoulders. I know you
Yeah.
have these too. It becomes even more important. Like, usually by the time, like, I don't plan these in advance. It's sort of like, I need a solo
Mhm.
retreat. I need a Katie retreat. And it's usually my comment to my husband is, I need 2 days to not be responsible for anyone else other
That's
than myself.
that's it.
Can anyone else relate to that? Yeah. And so what it does, I try not to have a lot of rules for my solo retreat. Usually I end up using like a lot of my,
Yeah.
credit card points. I'm usually not paying for these things. So it's like, how many points do I have? Where can I go? I don't care. Um, I have been to like little, you know, tiny little solo camper places in the middle of Florida. I've been to the, nice
Yeah.
beach hotel. Like, but the point is that I'm alone. I don't have a schedule. I literally get to wake up
Mhm.
whenever I want and do whatever I feel like doing. I usually, at the beginning of every Katie retreat, I usually will write in my journal, what is my intention
Okay.
for this time? And I don't really know what the intention is until I
Yeah.
get to that moment. And so I'll say, like, okay, I'm feeling like this is the intention. Sometimes it's to get work done. Like, there are times where that doesn't happen a lot, but it might be like, I need an hour to do these things that I've not had the
Yeah.
headspace to do. But most times it's sort of like, I need
Mhm.
clarity on X, Y, and Z, or I need to just relax and be with myself. I need to not speak. I need to just allow myself to do whatever. I need to, sweat. I need to do something. Like, I need to be
Mhm.
in the water. So I really, it's really important to sort of mark those intentions and then just to sort of like go where the wind takes me while I'm there. But they have been instrumental. I probably go on 3 to 4 a year. Um, and I love them. They're so special to
I
me.
love that. I gotta plan a retreat. I need one.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be as, close to home, just a chance to have like a little staycation, I guess, that's close to home. Or like, prior to husband and kids, I was like using it as a way to go
Yeah.
explore new places. Like, oh, I want to go down to Florida
Yeah.
Keys by myself. That'd
Definitely.
be fun. Or I want to go up to, Charleston and just explore the city. So it's a really nice way to just, use it for however you need it to be used
Mhm.
in your life.
I love that. So tell me how you set your goals. You have all these different things that you are committed to, that you're passionate about. How are you able to keep up with these things and make sure they are aligned with what you truly desire?
That's a great question. The first thing that I am constantly doing is I'm constantly in tune with what I
Okay.
do desire. Because there's no use in me striving if I'm not going in the direction I say I want to go
Yes.
in, right? So very regularly through meditation, through journaling, through running, being outside in nature, going on
Yeah.
walks with my husband, like he and I actually foundation of our entire relationship is walks in nature. We've been doing that since we were dating. That was our very first date. And we do that at least once a week. So um, there's talk there all the time. We're talking about our dreams. We're talking through things. And the talking of it is really important because it allows me to say stuff and hear what I'm saying. And sometimes I'm like, actually, no, I don't want that. And oh, but I do want this, right? Like I can feel the energy of what's
Yes.
coming out. And then he can sort of add to it and I can add to it. So all of those things, I'm very regularly in contact with my desires, my changing and evolving desires. And then from there, I mean, I'm an action-oriented person, girl. So I'm like, that's where I shine. I shine in the execution. So it is a matter of, I'll share with you just a few of my
Uh-huh.
little hacks. I have a board, a small whiteboard that just sort of has like, for example, this year's projects. Like these are the things I really want to
Mhm.
complete this year. Not like um numerical goals like, oh, I want X amount of, downloads every month. Like that's kind of something different. But this is like, no, I want to get this out. I want to get these journals out. I'm working on
Awesome.
journals right now. Um, I want to launch this network. I want to go do
Yeah.
ABC, right? And this is for business stuff specifically. So I sort of have that just listed with like the
Mhm.
big projects. And then every single week, I'm old school and I have, a plain
Yeah.
notebook. And every single week, I sort of write down, here's the priorities of the week. And they're in alignment with those things that are on the whiteboard. And then every day I sort of break down, okay, what am I working on today? Old school, number one, number two, number three, what needs to get done? It doesn't
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
perfectly
Yeah.
ever, but it happens. It's the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the time it happens. So that's what keeps moving me forward. Um, so, I mean, it's kind of that simple. Um, I'm also a little obsessed with efficiency. I hate wasting time. So I'm very much a manager of my
Mhm.
energy. So, we talk about time management, and I absolutely believe in that. It's very
Mhm.
practical. I also put equal amounts of energy into
Yeah.
energy management. When am I in the energy to do what tasks? And when is that ideal? How can I marry my energy with the tasks it's best suited for? So, for example, I sort of have equal parts right brain and left brain tasks in my business, right? On one side, I've got all these
Mhm.
creative tasks, like I need to do marketing, it's very creative. And then I need to write all these, I'm writing these meditations. I'm writing poetry. That's a very creative task. It takes a long time. It's very painful in some ways. When is my energy
Mhm.
ideal to do those things? Not on Monday. On Monday, I want to check shit
Nice.
off a list. I want to like boom, 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 boom. I'm very administrative. I'm very financial. So Mondays, I have Money Mondays. And every Monday, I'm going through, and cleaning up all my books. I'm making sure I'm checking in with my budgets and forecasting and, where are we on this project? So like that's where my brain is on Mondays. That's where my energy is. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm working on. So it's a really great way to make time work for you so you can get a lot of stuff done in a minimal amount of time. Still, right now in my life, I probably work 30 to
Mhm.
35 hours. I've got probably about 30 hours a week. And I feel like I'm able to get a lot of
Yes.
stuff done in that time because
Awesome.
of that.
Awesome. I love that. That gave me a lot to think about in regards to the energy when it's
Yeah.
best. Because I notice certain times, like I told you, in the evenings, I want to do certain things. So it's kind of like I look at my family like, okay, so my time has started. So
Yeah.
we've answered all those questions about school. You're good.
It's
Exactly.
mom's time.
And being very intentional about that. So I like that. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. Because I think someone listening can benefit from that. Definitely. So I want to talk to you about meditation because you are the queen of meditation.
I love some
Yes,
meditation.
and it's so if you were encouraging someone who hasn't really thought about meditation, but they hear all these people talking about it and they hear that, it's beneficial in so many ways, and they're looking to help their children, what would you tell them and how would you encourage them to think about it?
Yeah. There are actually two very practical things that I
Mhm.
would suggest. The first is to start with mini
Okay.
meditations. And this is what I mean by a mini meditation. A mini meditation are little moments throughout your day when you can step out of the normal
Mhm.
movement of the day and choose
Okay.
presence just for a few moments. So, for example, you've just gone and dropped off
Yeah.
your kids at school, you've parked in your driveway, and instead of immediately rushing into the house on your phone, getting the day started, stop,
Mhm.
sit in your car, take 5
Yeah.
deep breaths, conscious breaths, meaning you're counting in 1, 2, when you're going to take a shower, go and instead of like running through the list of things you have to do today or, just kind of letting your mind wander, stop, come inside, take a
Mhm.
few deep breaths, recognize the warmth of the water coming onto your back, feel how it feels going
Mhm.
down your body, come into a little bit of gratitude for the fact that you get a shower today. You know, so these are little mini moments of meditation that you can easily do. Any
Yeah.
one of us can do. I love using the breath as the
Mhm.
entryway to do this. So if you just can sort of like slow yourself down and focus
Yeah.
on a breath, a deep breath, or just a normal, rhythm of a breath, but just paying attention to your breath in and out. So that's one way that you can start to incorporate it
Yeah.
right away,
Yeah.
super easily. Um, Obviously the benefits are immediate. Like you immediately feel more calm. You immediately feel like, okay, I can do
Mhm.
this. Okay, I got
Yes.
this, right? Immediately feel some more clarity. The second thing I would recommend is to find a
Yeah.
meditation podcast. I have a few to
Yes.
choose from. And choose a guided meditation that really calls to you because a guided meditation means that me and my guides are doing all the heavy
Mhm.
lifting for you. You don't have to worry about what you're going to do. You don't have to worry about your mind racing. It's going to race. FYI, your mind is going to race. That's its job. Your job is not to quiet the mind for the entire meditation. Your job is just to notice
Okay.
the mind. So, a guided meditation, myself and my other guides will take you through a process. We'll speak you through an experience. The music will be
Yeah.
along there to help guide you as well. And now you get to do it without having to do anything. You just get to experience it. So, those are two, I think, the easiest ways to enter into the benefits
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
meditation.
And see, that's why I said when we first started, I feel like you take me. I prefer guided meditation. And so I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like my friend is taking me on this journey where I can just be and allow for, and I like that you said that your mind's still going to race, because I think sometimes
Yeah.
people discredit because it's like, well, I can't focus, I can't do this or that. And it's like, just start.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been meditating for 25
Yeah.
years about, and my mind still goes. There are times when I sit down and 10 seconds into it, my mind is like, you know, um, but that's its job. Its job is to do that, is to create thoughts. And so my job is not to stop it. I don't want to stop it with force. What I want to do is recognize it. I want to pay attention to it and observe those thoughts. And here's the beauty and the real gift of
Hmm.
meditation. When you observe that
Yeah.
those are thoughts, there becomes a
Hmm.
separation because you're the observer, you're not the thought, right? So all of a sudden, you can see that there's enormous power in that because that thought that's telling you, oh my God, I'm so busy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm worried about ABCD. It's actually a thought. That's
Yes.
not you. So it allows you to sort of have this separation. And in that space is where you can start actually really hearing your intuition. You can hear the voice. You can hear that voice that says, hey, Sandy, just take a few breaths right now. Hey, Sandy, everything's
Yes.
going to be okay. Hey, Sandy, you've been here before.
Yeah.
You got this. It's okay. So, like, you start hearing that whisper that becomes, a part of your vernacular. And so, when you start that separation, when you observe the thoughts that are
Hmm.
always going to be there, you now get to decide which ones do I want to keep and which ones do I want to push away or allow to move away like clouds in the
Yeah.
sky, right? So, in that regard, I think meditation, mindfulness,
Mhm.
deep breathing, journaling, all these activities really allow us to separate from our minds, which actually gives us power of our
Yeah,
minds.
yeah. See, that's so good and so helpful because as we talked about, there's so many things going on around us, and sometimes you can feel as if you're not in control, but you
Yeah.
truly are, but you have to allow yourself that time where you can just be and, like you said, separate that noise that you're hearing from your true inner voice. And
Yep.
that to me is where you truly have the power.
100%, always. And that's where you get to design your life. So if there's anything in your life that you're not loving right now, and we
Yes.
all have them,
Yes.
right? If there's anything in your life that you are not loving, that
Yeah.
feels uncomfortable, that doesn't feel good, you have 100% power to change it by the way that you're
Yeah.
thinking about it and by your ability to see and get into a space where you can see beyond what it is to have that or to be clear of that,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Such good stuff. I feel like I'm getting a extra special bonus episode with Kate.
Yes.
So we talked in January about, I was telling you about my daughter graduating from college, and you were sharing with me some good advice. And as a mom who's excited for her to go on this next journey, but I want to make sure that I am giving her tools to be successful. So, what would you share for me that I could use with her, and definitely the listeners as well, to encourage her so she can build her practice of meditating? And whether it's thinking about a class, a grade, being in a new space, all these things, right? I want to give her some tools and some comfort as she goes on this next journey, as well as, as I'm here experiencing this, new world for me, right? What would you encourage us to do?
Yeah. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm not going to pretend that I know any more than any other mom because, man, we are all
Yeah,
PhDs in this thing and simultaneously constantly students,
totally.
right? So I do not have a, late teenage young adult
Mhm.
daughter yet. So I don't want to pretend like
Yeah,
that I know that
yeah.
phase intimately. That said, though, what I will say that is my take about generally like a general parenting tactic to
Yeah.
encourage mindfulness, to encourage and teach
Mhm.
meditation, self-awareness, intuition. First and foremost, I feel like this is always the number one, you know, um, strategy
Mhm.
with parenting.
Okay.
Model it.
Yes.
Model it. Model what it looks like to be a mindful human being. Model what it looks like to be somebody who's
Yeah.
self-aware. And for me, that means, again, I don't do this perfectly, but for me, that actually means verbalizing some of the things that I'm doing
Yeah.
and thinking about in front of my kids, in front of my two young girls. And it also means that I deliberately, like, because girl, Lord knows I mess up in front of them. Okay, Lord knows I yell at their dad. I'm yelling at them. Like I can absolutely not be the most awesome person. And in those
Yeah.
moments when I'm human, I very, very quickly will come inside and be like, dude, what's here? What is here that is
Yeah.
causing this? And how can I speak that? How can I, and therefore let them see that I'm excavating
Yeah.
this stuff in myself, and how can I make this right? So um so I will apologize like almost right away, and it won't be just like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry for yelling it. It'll be like, hey, like, look, I'm on your level, I'm looking at
Mhm.
you in the eyes, I'm giving you a hug. Man, that must have been really scary when mommy yelled right now, right? Oh, baby girl, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to yell. I'm
Mm.
really sorry. You're safe here. You're safe with me, like really making it right. So I feel like those things, when we can show our humanness and then also show our ability to be self aware enough to
Yeah.
make things right. Um, and in moments when it's, not that, still self awareness shows up in, my daughter's seeing me choosing things that I want to do that
Yeah.
are good for me. They see mommy getting ready for a run. They see mommy saying, I'm not right now, babe. I need to do A, B,
Yeah.
and C for me
Yes.
right now. Like, hey, babe, I want to pay attention to you, but right now I'm doing this. So give me 5 more minutes and I want to I'm going to give you all my attention. So there's like all those little things of speaking and modeling that self-awareness, that sense of self. And so beyond that, though, I think it's so important to teach, and I am constantly in this, like I'm in
Yeah.
this right now, to teach our young ones how to access and know
Mm.
themselves. Because it's not my job to raise
Yeah.
my mini me's.
Exactly.
They're not. They're
Exactly.
not that. It's my job to help my daughters see who they are and to connect with who they are and to find deep sense of self and confidence in who they are. And this is not
Yeah.
easy. um, but it's reflecting back to them when they do something and I'm like, wow, I see their heart, like, hey babe, I just saw that you did A, B, and C for your sister. I just really want to tell you, you're an incredible sister. You really care for her. And I love that about you. You're so caring. So it's sort of identifying and breathing more life and energy into these things that are them, not behaviors we want them to
Yeah.
have more of. There's a very, very like clear distinction here. But when we see who they are, when we see their souls showing up and them expressing themselves and their own flowers
Yeah.
blossoming, to breathe life and energy into that and be like, I see you. Wow, you are beautiful, Um, I just got this, I just heard this the other day from somebody else and I really loved it. And it fits right alongside here. But to really encourage the activities,
Mm.
not the result, or like the work and not the result. Like, not instead of like, hey, I'm proud of you,
Yeah.
you got A's. It's not that. It's like, hey, I'm really proud. You have been working so hard and you have been practicing every day and your reading has gotten better and better. And you've shown up here dedicated even when you don't want to. We've been having a lot of conversations about discipline lately, doing something that is right, even when you
Mhm.
don't want to do it. um, like encouraging that, like really honoring that. And I think that when our kids hear those things, it brings in sort of another layer of cement into themselves that they can
Yeah.
hold on to. Um, and, then the final step really beyond that is then teaching them the tools to constantly come inside and
Mm.
know themselves on how to manage their emotions, how to manage, their thoughts. And again, like I'm still in the midst of really trying my best to teach. We've been having a lot of talks about negative
Yeah.
self-talk and what that is and how do we navigate that, So but I feel like there's all of this stuff, but it's really choosing to breathe life into
Mm.
yourself and also choosing to breathe life into what you see when you see them expressing their
I
true
love that.
selves.
You made me think of so many moments just recently where I was able to tell her that I saw that she was working hard. And I know it wasn't easy, but your discipline and your focus really shine through. And so I continue to learn, like you said, and grow. And it's funny because I only have the one. So I feel this sense of I gotta get this right. I don't get to do this again.
I have no one to screw up on. Oh, it's
But
funny.
also, like you said, learning to even show myself grace in this, right? It's like there's no handbook on
Yeah,
how to be this type of mom to Sydney, you know? So
I
I am
know.
doing my best, but being okay with saying, I'm sorry. I messed up on that. And I could see how that had affected you. And that was not my intention. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
just allowing ourselves to learn and to make mistakes and to grow along the way and them seeing that, right? Because I don't want her to think you have to be perfect in any way, shape, or form, right? Because that's not realistic.
Mm-mm. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. And really just constantly making sure they know they are loved and they are
Yes.
safe and you're proud
Yes.
of them. Like that they can be your safe space, or that
Yeah,
you are their safe
yeah,
space, you know?
yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I enjoyed talking with you. I was excited to speak with you, and you definitely didn't disappoint.
Sandy, you are so awesome. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.